When your life seems out of control, maybe that's your clue to surrender total control to God. Did you finally realize your dream of having a family, only to have your happily ever after turn into a nightmare? Do you find yourself up late at night wondering why nothing you try as a parent is working? Are you searching for adoption resources and a support team but can't find any? Hi neighbor, welcome to Anchors of Encouragement. I'm Tim Maudlin, husband, adoptive parent, Bible class teacher, and the persistent encourager. I too felt the joy of having a family of my own, and I wished we could be like other adoptive families. I knew we were doing our best, but nothing seemed to work. And I kept asking myself, why is this happening to us? In Anchors of Encouragement, my mission is to throw adoptive parents a lifeline and be your anchor, to offer biblical mindset support and to provide stability when life gets unstable. If you're ready for real and raw talk that leads to peace beyond comprehension, so you not only survive but thrive in life's storms, this podcast is for you. Hope and healing are on the way. Hi neighbor, welcome to another episode of Anchors of Encouragement. In today's episode, I want to throw you a lifeline and share one specific anchor with you. One idea you can sit with, meditate on, and implement in your daily life. Something that is doable. I want these anchors to be a source of support and encouragement for you so you can weather the storms of life. Think of these as your daily anchors. But before that, I would like to share a review from one of our listeners. Ellie writes, Biblical wisdom from a dad? Yes, God, thank you. I'm so delighted to hear Tim's wisdom on parenting adopted children. This podcast is heartfelt, encouraging, and has practical wisdom helpful for any type of parent. I absolutely enjoy the recaps, and the Daily Doable is so helpful in giving us something to apply the wisdom ASAP. Thank you, Ellie, for such a lovely review. I really appreciate you taking the time to write something so encouraging to me. As I've said before, these reviews really help this podcast reach a broader audience. I would like to encourage you to leave one today. And now to your daily anchor. When your life seems out of control, maybe that's your clue to surrender total control to God. The anchor I want to share with you today is inspired from a passage in the book of Psalms, specifically Psalm 37 and verse 5. There the writer David says, Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. Before I get into explaining the actual anchor that we find in verse 5, I think it would be helpful to understand a little bit about the psalm itself, the context, and the construction of it. As I mentioned earlier, this is a psalm of David. We understand from 2 Samuel chapter 23 and verse 1, David is referred to as the sweet psalmist of Israel. David wrote over 70 psalms in his lifetime. This particular psalm he wrote as an acrostic. And what that means is, as David wrote the psalm, he would begin each section with a different letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Most of the sections in this psalm consist of 2 verses. There are a few that are single verses, but for each of these sections, they begin with a different letter in the Hebrew alphabet. One idea for the reason it was written this way was to aid in memorization. Each of these sections can stand alone. They are a complete thought. But then you can take these different thoughts and you can combine them to understand the concept of the overall psalm. We understand from verse 1 that David is encouraging individuals not to get worked up, not to fret, not to get agitated when good things happen to bad people. And we also understand from verse 25 that David is writing this from the perspective of an older man. He has seen things, and he's trying to convey his observations through his life to encourage each of us. Let's get to verse 5 now and look at that a little bit closer. Verse 5 in the NLT translation reads, Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. For the word commit, it literally means to roll upon. And what David is saying is to roll everything over to God. In other words, surrender control to Him. I've talked about this before, but anchors provide safety, they provide security, stability, and support. There's different ways we could describe this anchor. You might think of it as a trust anchor. You might think of it as a control anchor. It really doesn't matter how you describe it. Just understand the idea is that you are surrendering control to God. You are tethering yourself to God. He is the anchor. He's the one that's going to be in control. As we build out the concept of this anchor, I want to share with you 3 reasons why it's important to surrender control to God. Number 1, I've already mentioned this. David is speaking from observation. He's speaking from personal experience. In verse 25, he said, "Once I was young, and now I am old." And what he was saying there is, I've never seen the righteous forsaken. He's speaking from experience. He knows this is the best course of action to take. Back in verse 5 again, listen to what it says. Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. The second reason, God is working for you 24/7. He will help you if you trust Him. And then number 3, unburden your burdens. Roll them over to God. I like to think of it this way. My Father's shoulders are bigger than mine, and He can shoulder those things that I can't. He wants to bear our burdens. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Let's get to your daily doable and see how to implement this anchor in your life. I was discussing this passage from Psalm 37:5 with one of my anchors. He made the observation, we're really good at giving God control when we go to bed, but when we get up in the morning, we want to take control back. I want to encourage you to surrender control to God and leave it there. Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. One thing that might help with this is the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust Him, and He will help you. Surrender your control to Him. That's all for this episode. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now. If this podcast has given you the courage and confidence to face storms in your life, the number one way you can thank me is to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend about the show. Take a screenshot of this episode and share it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Tim Maudlin. You can also connect with me in my Facebook group, Anchors of Encouragement. So until next time, this is Tim encouraging you to do what you can now.